What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Goodol'boys YouTube channel. Today we're working on our 2016 Chevy DURAMAX. As you guys can see here, we're going to be trying to remove the flywheel bolts, which happen to be Allen head bolts. Yep, those are in there good. Okay, so we're going to try something different here. I have a pair of vice grips, and we're going to see if we can stop this flywheel from rotating. Normally you don't want to do this. This flywheel and flex plate is bad, for the record, for anybody that's new that's tuning in. You don't want to do this on a good flywheel or flex plate. But this truck, it was in a wreck. You can see the busted back motor plate. All this stuff is bent and needs replaced. Yep, they're in there pretty tight. And that's what a flywheel bolt looks like. So we're down to the last bolt on the crank here. Broke free and everything. Flywheel is actually loose. So what we're gonna do though, before we take this off, is actually time this flywheel, or I guess just mark it so everything is clocked right. Right. So we're gonna mark from here to here. Then we're gonna go from the weight to the flywheel. Then we need, of course, a way to match this stuff up. So I'm gonna put a big mark on the inside of the flywheel bushing there, and then a mark on the inside of the crankshaft. Okay. Okay. Not too bad. We're gonna put a dial gauge on this next. I don't have one today, so we're gonna be checking this on a different day, but I am gonna put the clip of that video right in after this clip so everything makes sense for you guys. Okay, we're gonna get a good solid base. Oh. There it is.
Okay.
All right, guys, so let's go over our results. So I've got a small visual drawn up here to help everybody kind of understand the results. So this is our crankshaft. This would be considered the center of our crankshaft. Now the yellow or highlighted circle is the actual centered crank. That's what it would look like. Now this is an over exaggeration, but the black circle would be an example of a crankshaft that is out of round or not perfectly centered. So what we have to understand here is we actually put our dial indicator on the, what I want to call the low side of the crank. So this is where we were reading on our bent crankshaft, was on the low side. So what's interesting about this is as you go around to the neutral part of the bent crankshaft, you get +1 on either side. That's actually neutral. And the reason why you get +1 is because you're at a low spot in the crank. So where we zeroed the dial indicator at, it's just the lowest point or the farthest pushed over part of the crankshaft. So as you come around, you're reading 3/1000ths of an inch out on the farthest pushed out part of the crank. And in all reality, this is only 1.5 thousandths, because if we would have taken this dial indicator and put it on the actual neutral part of the crankshaft, we would have been at 0, actual 0 neutral crank. Whereas when this thing's spinning around, when the dial indicator's here, you're at +1 on an actual neutral part of the crankshaft. So in all reality, instead of 0, we'd be reading -1.5 here. We'd be reading 0 and 0 here and here, and then +1.5 here. And that's thousandths of an inch. So to put that into perspective, that is a very, very teeny tiny, minuscule amount of the crankshaft being bent. So hopefully this helps you guys understand kind of where we're at. So even though the dial indicator read 3/1000ths of an inch, with all this being said and explained, we're only 1.5 thousandths of an inch out at the most. So one of the weird things was when the battery was good, we got that reading of 3/1000ths, and that was one of the first times I had actually spun the crank around. And you got to keep in mind, we did do some corrosion prevention on here, and the bottom of the truck is very dusty and dirty. So there could have even been some sand or grit on the crankshaft. And you guys could see the second reading when the crankshaft went around, we were at 2/1000ths at the most. So we got a lot of spotty readings. Now, of course, I trust the dial indicator more when it had better batteries in it. So more than likely, we are probably 1.5 thousandths out at the most. But I'm actually very happy with that readout. Now, I don't know what the tolerance is for a crankshaft. I don't have a manual, so that's something we'll have to figure out in the future. But for now, I'm not too worried about this, and in my opinion, I'm thinking we can probably use the crankshaft. I think that's an acceptable amount of tolerance. Like I said, just guessing, not sure. I don't have a manual or anything, but for now, I'm gonna go ahead and say the crankshaft is good enough to use. So I wanted to add in a little bit of a tip here in the video. This obviously is going to be a long-term project. We have to take the back of the motor off, possibly have to replace the crankshaft. We got a lot of stuff to do to this truck. We have to check out the transmission. So one of the things that I always find kind of annoying and not helpful is when you go to put the thing back together and everything's covered in rust. So for example, this truck will sit here in this barn, in this garage, and we have ups and downs in temperature. You get a lot of condensation and water from condensation on the crankshaft, on the metal parts, even the drive shaft. So we're going to do a little bit of corrosion prevention today. I have some Corrosion X HD. It's for rust and corrosion prevention. You spray this stuff on, metal parts, anything metal really. Spray this crankshaft with Corrosion X. And all we're gonna do is wipe it around, make sure everything is covered on especially all the sensitive spots. And then this thing can no longer rust out for a long period of time. So now we're on to the drive shaft. Just gonna do a quick little spritz. We'll take and spread this Corrosion X around. Here we go. As you guys probably saw or noticed on the crankshaft is that I was getting in each individual thread hole. You wanna make sure you get the threads in the sensitive parts, especially like the insides of the splines on this drive shaft, all covered, because these can be a real pain to get put back in the truck if you get rust inside the splines on these. And it's just not ideal to go in here with sandpaper or file on the outside and clean this stuff up. It's easiest just to do the rust prevention and then wipe this stuff off. Then obviously for the holes and the crankshaft, you want to brake parts clean that before you go ahead and reinstall the flywheel. Those flywheel bolts are not installed with lubricant. This stuff here probably not going to hurt it because it's going in the transmission, but as I said before, this will all get wiped off of here before it goes back in the truck. Another important thing to kind of consider for corrosion is just bolts. You can see already we've got some corrosion going on these bolts. And that's just from condensation from being in the barn. So we have flywheel bolts, cross member bolts, flex plate bolts, transmission bolts. We have all the caps, starter bolts, U-joint caps and bolts. So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of hardware here. These would be really tedious and, not to mention cost a lot of money in Corrosion X. So I've just got some good old used motor oil here, and I'm just gonna pour it inside the container with the bolts. And right here, I have a big container for the bigger bolts. Let's see if they'll fit. There we go. And again, the biggest reason for this is just to prevent a headache down the road. If all these bolts are completely rusted out, you've either got to find replacements, which are always going to be subpar or really expensive from GM. So the best thing you can do is do some due diligence and go ahead and do the rust prevention, or prevent rust, I should say, the best you can. So we'll just fill this bucket up. And the same thing for this container. We're just going to fill it with engine oil. That's going to prevent any oxygen or moisture from getting to these bolts, and we won't have any worries. So that's pretty much it for this video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out that description box below. This is a whole video series dedicated to this truck. We got a lot of work to do, and you guys can go down there to that playlist and check our progress, see how far we came along. So once again, thank you guys for watching. Check out that description box below, and we'll catch you guys on the next video. Woo!
It's all about humanity.